Let us talk today about the man that we are honoring, the Apostle Saint Barnabas. And let us see his relationship with Paul and allow him to show us a way on how we can learn from him an antidote to our own cynicism sometimes, to our negative speech, we call it gossip, and even to the way that we tend sometimes to be judgmental, to be critical of others. So let's begin with what you heard from the first reading. So as you know, the Church of Jerusalem had a negative reports and knowledge of Saint, well, he was not a saint yet, but let's say of Paul, correct? They knew him that he was the one who was persecuting Christians. He was not really killing Christians. He was just taking them, the believers, and bringing them to the Sanhedrin in order to be accused, and then whatever the Sanhedrin would do to them. But there was big suspicion in the Church of Jerusalem about Paul. Negativities. Then they send this man, Barnabas. Now, even the name Barnabas is son of encouragement. That's the meaning of his name. And they sent him to Antioch. Look, Paul had been to Antioch before that already and had been already preaching in different areas. He was already preaching. But still, the Church of Jerusalem could not receive him. And so they sent Barnabas to check out Antioch. What kind of people are they? And when he went there, he saw that the church in Antioch was really thriving. They truly believed in whatever the apostles had learned from Jesus. Which is why it was in Antioch that the believers of Jesus, the followers of Jesus, were called Christians. They really saw them as Christ-like. And then also, Barnabas went out now to look for Paul. He wanted to see what kind of a man he is. And when he went back to the Church of Jerusalem, he gave them a report, but only the report of how listen to this, of how the grace of God is at work in Paul. He knew the past of Paul also. He knew that he was bringing the believers to the Sanhedrin. He knew that he was aiming to have these followers of Jesus be persecuted. He knew that. He was not naive. But he did not talk about that to the church in Jerusalem, but only how the grace of God has been working in Paul and in his works. Do you see? And this is where he teaches us a big lesson. And this is where you see this man giving to us what I would call the ministry of Barnabas. And especially as it pertains to what I said before, negative speech, judgmentalism, cynicism, and suspiciousness of one another. Now, Look, what is the evil really in negative speech, in gossip, in suspiciousness and slander and all of that? The real evil there is that gossip confines and defines the person that they are gossiping into the past sins, into the failures, into the weaknesses of the person. And it makes as if that person is stuck in the past. He can never be a saint. The grace of God, it seems, cannot work in that person. That is the deeper meaning of negative speech. Instead of seeing that God is really at work, and instead of being an advocate and not an accuser of a person, then we become also like Christ, who was crucified for us. Because Christ on the cross, remember this, looked at all the people who had wanted to crucify him, who were there already, making a judgment on him, on a man that Isaiah says in the Old Testament, he never even told a lie. But that's not the point. The point here is that Jesus, who was crucified, is looking at us for whom he was crucified and saying, Father, forgive them, for they do not even know what they are doing. He did not even judge us. He did not say, Father, forgive them, they're evil. He gave us the benefit of a doubt. Father, forgive them, because they do not know what they are doing. That's advocacy rather than accusing. And this is what Barnabas is saying. And this is what Barnabas is showing us as a ministry. Now, let's go to a gossip. A gossip group. Firstly, we really do not gossip about anybody in the streets, correct? We gossip about people we know. They are members of the family. They're your co-workers. They're your colleagues. They're the boss. People we know. And that is the point. We know them. And because we know them, we know at least one redeeming grace in them. One good thing in them. Probably even one thing of them that has benefited us. Am I making sense? We know at least one. So, the lesson of Barnabas, when you go to that gossip group, and by the way, we have to understand this too. Social psychology tells us that gossip has its own positive side, because gossip also melds us into a group. So we sometimes look at it this way, isn't it? We also join a gossip group because we want to be one of them. Correct? We don't want to be set aside. Do you know that the word set aside, set apart, actually is sanctification? To become holy, to be made holy, to be sanctified, in the original term is to be set aside. And so in the gossip group, we do not want to be set aside, but what we are doing is to join the negativities instead of being set aside because we know a positive thing, the work of grace in that person. Make sense? And so, when we join a gossip, you can even say, yeah, I heard all about that, but remember that that person is and the positive thing that you know, even if it's only one. But that person will give you even his shirt if you ask him, if you ask her. Then you become also an advocate rather than an accuser. Then you are reminding the others too that we can be saints too. We are not stuck in the past. We have a future because grace leads us. Make sense? We call that the ministry of Barnabas. Try it.